Hello, my name is Donnie Lane, and I'm pastor of Citychurch in Amarillo, Texas. And this evening, I just wanted to come and share with you a principle that we live by at Citychurch. It's something that really guides my work and decisions during this time of year. And it's a principle, this is the principle that help with no hope is no help at all. And when you think of City Church, you might think of the meals that we prepare and deliver to children, especially during this time of year. You might think of the Christmas gifts that we put together. In a little bit, if you're watching this on television, I'm going to show you a report of what we're doing for the kids at Christmas. If you're seeing this online, you'll see the blogs and articles and information there and all the stuff on social media. And you might think, well, City Church is just a group of folks that does good for kids, and that's true, and we do. But I want you to understand that it's part of reaching that family. You know, I want to tell you a couple of stories that shape the way that I approach our mission at City Church. One really takes me back to the first time I ever went over in North Heights. I had a group, I was down at City Church, and we're located downtown. We're only a couple blocks from the boulevard, but we had been living down in that building at 205 South Polk, and I was sweeping up, and we were getting ready to go pick up kids. And two homeless men came in and were hungry, and they weren't going to leave me alone until I got them something to eat. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to fix these guys up. So I went and I got them some groceries. I put them in a box, and then they needed a ride. They couldn't carry the groceries. And so I was beginning to get frustrated, and because time was running out and the kids were going to be on top of us there. At the time, there were just a couple of us, and we were teaching hundreds of kids. And so I told them, okay, well, hop in my truck. I'm going to give you a ride. We had a borrowed Suburban at the time, and we were putting our lives back together. I drove them over, and they led me to an apartment unit, a small apartment unit over on the north side. When we got out, the children that lived in that apartment unit immediately bailed out of their apartments and came down and started to meet us in the parking lot and tear into the box of groceries that I brought. And it completely caught me off guard because at the time, there were about 20 kiddos, and they were obviously hungry. And they didn't know anything about me. I didn't have a City Church shirt on. I mean, we had no markings. As far as they were concerned, I was just a guy with a box of food. And the men that I was trying to help at the time, they didn't even make it into their apartment with the groceries that I brought. It completely overwhelmed me. I was alone at the time. I went back to the church and told my parents, hey, I found a great place where there's a lot of kids, so they're hungry. And we gathered up everything that we had. And I don't mean just the food. We had some t-shirts that were seized at the border that said, don't mess with Texas. We had some inflatable Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys that somebody had donated. We had all the groceries that a grocery store had given us, and it was just produce and things, and we carried it and gave it away. That next week, I took that same vehicle over multiple times, and we picked up 80 children in that apartment unit that rode in my vehicle to City Church. And that was just shocking to me that there was a need that I had no idea existed. And I realized that we were going to have to aggressively go and find out and learn what children were living like in the neighborhood and what their needs were and how best to reach them, that we couldn't just put up a shingle or a sign and expect them to come to us. Second story I want to tell you impressed me, and because it was heavy. We had a church at the time that was in First Baptist Church of Channing, Texas, of all places. And if you've ever been to Channing, the church there was just incredibly faithful, small West Texas town, and they gave us $500 a month for shoes. And we could take any child that needed them, and we would take them to Payless, and we would get them outfitted. And they did that for a couple of years. It was amazing the sacrifices that they made in order for us to do that. I remember the second month, we took a family of children, and my sister Anna and I took them to Payless, and we got them nice shoes, socks, and everything. And we wanted them to have the most legitimate experience we could. And so we let them keep the boxes and the bags and everything. We kept the receipts. But we took the children home, picked them up, let them eat a McDonald's hamburger or something, and took them home and dropped them off at their house. I'll never forget, a couple hours later, I was driving north on Polk Street, and when I got up to the corner of Polk and the Boulevard, I saw the children's father out on the corner there of the Polk and Emerald Boulevard, and he had the shoebox and was out on the street trying to sell the children's shoes that we had just purchased for him out on the corner. And I'll tell you, it broke my heart. But I also learned in that moment that the work that we're trying to accomplish is going to require a tremendous amount of discernment. And we really at that point had to count the cost and determine, do we have the capability and the capacity to exercise the kind of leadership that's going to be required of us if we're really going to be any good to these children? You know, that's why City Church doesn't deliver groceries to people that can hop in a car and come pick them up. We do that on an emergency basis, but we deliver meals prepared for children to eat. And in some instances, I'll sit on the porch, and others will too, and make sure the children actually get to eat the food that we deliver. When we deliver Christmas gifts, we require that we have a home visit with the family before we just sign the children up. And we talk to them about their need and whether or not the need really exists. And we want to minister to that family. And so we need to know who they are. And if they're, signed up on multiple angel trees and other nonprofits, or are they a family in genuine need? And then when we give all of the things, the food, the clothing, the gifts to the children and to their families, we do it in a way that allows us to share the love of Christ with them. It allows us to build a relationship with them. It allows us to contact them in the future. It allows us to go on a weekly basis and check on the welfare of the children. It allows us to plug them into Bible studies and support groups and for them to get counseling. And we have to be available 12 months out of the year for them to find us when they have a need. This is what makes City Church different. And so that's what I mean by help with hope. It would be terrible if you grew up in Amarillo or any city in America, and because of your parents or the neighborhood you grew up in, that you didn't have the food you needed, the clothes you needed, you were neglected. When you were abused or abandoned, no one came to your rescue. It's even worse for a child to grow up their whole life and never know how much the Lord loves them because of their neighborhood, or because of who their parents are, or because of something that might be going on in the home, such as drug addiction, alcoholism, or abuse. Listen, City Church does a lot, but I want you to know that everything we do is a tool. Specifically, right now, we are opening registration up and visiting with 1,000 children. Now, I talked to our staff, and we've only opened up registration for about a week, and we already have 600 children that have applied for help during Christmas. We expect to have over 1,000. We've partnered with Toys for Tots. We're providing all of the facilities, the leadership, the staff. We're handling all of the logistics so that the children can receive a toy from Toys for Tots. I've cut our staff in half so that they can do the work that's necessary. And we're doing that to honor the Marines, who for years have made Toys for Tots possible, but also all the good folks and businesses in the Panhandle that have sown into that work. We want to see that work continue, but I want you to know we're going to integrate that work into our ministry to children. So it's going to be our front door. And we're going to have over 1,000 children receive gifts from Toys for Tots. But not only that, every family that receives a toy also becomes part of the ministry of City Church. They're also going to be able to come to a Christmas party. In the second and third week of December, we're going to have 5 different Christmas parties where we host all of those families. So when they come and receive the gift, they can make Christmas memory as a family, but also each one of them can hear the gospel. And we can follow up, because long after the gifts have been opened and Christmas has come and gone, City Church is going to be there. We are not a seasonal ministry. Our work is seasonal, but we are on the job 12 months out of the year. I wanted to challenge you this evening because Jesus reminds us in Matthew chapter 6 not to lay up treasures on this earth where moth and rust lead to decay and thieves can break in and steal. But he says to lay up treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. And I want to challenge you. You might think when you hear of all that City Church does for children that we're just funded with millions of dollars. That is not the case, I assure you. City Church is funded just through faithful gifts. And there's not thousands of people. There's just, it's amazing to me. It would be like a church with 500 or 600 members that are pulling off everything that you see. And many of you have seen me in town, you've talked to me, and you've told me how you appreciate the work that City Church does. But maybe you've never been a part yourself. I want to challenge you. It's time to get involved. We need you. I need your help. There are thousands of children that are waiting for us to step into their lives. And listen, I would much rather reach a child when their heart is soft and the cement is still wet and they are impressionable and they can be loved and we can earn their trust and we can build a relationship. It's much more difficult when they're 30 or 40 years old and they've just been released from prison. Listen to me, I love adults and I love prison ministry. And God can change anyone's life, but I would much rather be involved when a child is 8 years old than 80 and reach them when they have their whole life ahead of them. So you'd say, well, Donnie, how can I get involved? Well, step one is to visit us online at citychurchamarillo.com. That's where you can volunteer. There's a place for you to sign up as an individual or with your family. There's a place there under our volunteer link for you to bring a group from your church or Sunday school class or small group or school. And if you'll just give us a few key pieces of information, we'll reach out and take it from there. That's where you can give. And we've just really sewn in and developed our giving opportunities. So whether you're giving from a church or whether you're giving as an individual, we can show you where your gifts went, how they were put to work, and be transparent with you and take care of you. And any information you give us is private and confidential, as it has been for nearly 30 years. I want to thank you. Thank you for the time. I know I've taken more time than I should, especially for a video that you might be watching on social media. I know people don't watch anything longer than a couple of minutes, and that's fine. This is not a conversation you could have in 30 seconds. We are going to have a whole lot of real sweet stories of ministry that you're going to see, and they'll be short, and they'll be coming at you on TikTok, Instagram, X, and Facebook. But folks, I want you to pray for us. I want to challenge you to sit down with your family during this time and just think of how you can be part of the mission at City Church. No matter what you give, no matter how you serve, for our part, we're going to take whatever you bring and we're going to see that it's used where it's needed most. Thank you.